Although this video is a little bit different, we had a chance to meet up with an old acquaintance, and he just couldn't help but let some of his salesmen come out.
The RV industry has zero testing requirements. This is the scary part when it comes to hitches. We don't have to do any certain testing. Now, there's an SAE testing standard, SAE J2638. You'll see it stamped on all of our products, and some other good hitch manufacturers will stamp it on theirs as well.
We found the information so interesting and found that it could be helpful to someone in their search. We just couldn't cut it all. Plus, Cody gets to play and test out a new item he swore he would never like.
I don't need that. Where's my fuzzy caterpillar?
I thought we'd use this one. You got lonely in there.
Well, I guess I'll play Bob Barker, and welcome back to Untethered. We're really excited to be here in Mishawaka, Indiana this week, and it's for a good reason. We're meeting up with Nick with PullRite Hitches here in Mishawaka. We met him last year at the Grand Design Rally. He gave us a lot of good advice on our PullRite slider hitch.
We've stayed in touch.
And we've stayed in touch.
Helped us out a tremendous amount with questions, some of which from you guys.
Yeah.
That we couldn't answer. So he's been wonderful.
And when we met last year, I dropped the line that I'd kind of like to come up and check the facility out because I'm nerdy like that. They invited us to come up and check things out. And you guys know I'm almost always in for a challenge. So we're going to see what we can get into today.
The boys being boys. Women don't do this. It's amazing the stuff that you guys can challenge each other. We have something cool we're going to try today. Out of the blue.
Totally unplanned. We were just up there last night and got to talking like, eh. And you know, my logic is, if it's good enough for semis, it's good enough for me, right? But I know a lot of people are going to it. It's a bed space saver. It seems to have a lot of pros to it. So what's great about this hitch?
The OEX, of course, these are two different connection options. This is more of that traditional connection that you're used to that has that jaw that closes and locks. These are made with a rocker arm. So they can handle uneven terrain without stressing the coach. Whereas with the OEX, we're offering a different type of connection where we're going to use a ball that gets put on the trailer that drops down into the coupler. So really the goal with this product is creating a hitch that's lighter weight, that's much easier to use, and then also that's taking less space up in the bed of your truck. I think before you leave, I want to challenge you with the OEX, putting this OEX in the bed of your truck. I know you can turn and get anywhere you want to with the Super Glide, but I think if we put the OEX in there, let's see what kind of turn you could actually make with that.
Okay.
He hasn't stopped talking about it, so we're going to head up there, grab Nick, and see what kind of trouble we can get into. And I get to use my Bob Barker microphone because we originally got it for the RV shows next fall, and I thought, why wait until then? I mean, I think it's just the coolest little hootis. This is the coolest hootis ever.
And by you turning it all like this while you're talking, the sound's going to probably sound weird. That's her, not me. All right, let's go.
Okay.
We got to go.
A quick note that next Tuesday's video will be at a different date and time. We will be launching on Wednesday at 6 p.m. Central as we collaborate and team up with some other great creators. We'll see you then. Has it been enough time to bring back the 80s little shirt hairdo?
I mean, I guess.
I'm probably 4 decades behind in fashion anyway, so going with it.
I don't think it looks bad, but I'm 4 decades behind with you, so don't feel bad.
So you've never had this out of here, Cody?
It's never been out.
One of the nice things about the Super Glides is they're outfitted with some little brass rings in there that's designed to make the hitch easily to come out, even if you haven't had it out for 2 or 3 years, as I say when I sell them. So now let's see if it lives up to those expectations. 3 years and 30,000 miles.
Yeah, I think it's 34 or something now. Hence all the leftover grease and WD-40 that drips down. It's a sad day.
All right, well now we've worked ourselves out. I think it's time for some pizza.
That'll work.
Who told you I like food? I believe that you or Mr. Pulliam was talking about how you do test other industry hitches in comparison when you're doing all this testing, right?
Absolutely, we test all of our competitors to know where we stack up against them.
Dirty deets that you want to share with us?
You know, there's definitely some products out there that didn't quite meet what was expected, for sure.
We'll cut this off and you can tell us.
Maybe.
I'm really curious if I'm going to be able to see this thing or not.
If there's a negative with the super light, just like a travel trailer, you're lifting it up and you're running it down.
All right, so we've hooked up. We've got our coupler adjusted where we like it. We've got lots of bedroll clearance. Well, I mean, that's probably 6-7 inches of bedroll.
Yeah, I actually, once we're hooked up, I feel pretty good about that.
Even on the back, I mean, that's more than 6 inches of bed clearance.
Yep.
But this is not an auto locking hitch, right?
Correct.
It doesn't just lock when I drop the ball in there.
The idea is so that when you're operating it, I can reach in and I can lock it open by twisting whatever way is comfortable for me, right? And then when I go to unlock it, I just basically just clip it to where it's straight.
And there's no pin that needs to go through there now?
No pin that needs to go through there, nothing like that. Just a nice little spot to hang this. This shows the benefits of an offset hitch, but it doesn't show, it shows the disadvantages of an offset hitch too. The clearance areas that we're tight now, we wouldn't be nearly as tight with on your Super Glide, is what it boils down to.
Because we're probably down to a couple of inches here against the back glass.
And we also got about an inch there.
I don't turn this tight on a regular basis. I think for most people, this would probably fit the bill.
It all really boils down to your expectations as a user of the product. If you want to buy a short bed truck and buy a coach and get 90-degree turns and never have to worry about these pinch points here, then the Super Glide really makes sense, which you're very accustomed to and use. You also maybe don't know the negatives of it until just about an hour ago when we pulled your hitch out. It's heavy to get in and out of the bed. I mean, one negative you know is that you can only disconnect and connect within a straight line. So everything has its upsides and downsides, but one thing with this is we've achieved basically a probably 80-degree turn between your truck and trailer. I mean, if your expectation is I'm not going to get 90 degrees, this is way tighter than I'm ever going to get. And when I get to these tight angles, I'm going to be really aware in case I'm on uneven ground.
Sure.
Then this is a hitch that's going to save you several $100, right? You're starting to put a lot of stress on your axles. However, when you're in that situation where you have to take a detour and you have to turn around in a very narrow area, you're an emergency situation, you know your axles are going to be able to handle that.
We just left Carlisle rubber on the ground here.
How much are those tires, Cody?
About $1,300. Yeah, that's probably 30, 40 bucks worth of rubber.
I feel like we could get in the truck and go tow down the road and see what you think of the connection of this thing.
All right, you tell me where to go, we'll go.
Sounds like a plan.
You take a hard one?
Yeah.
I mean, and really this isn't that hard. Like I wouldn't worry about this turn. No more than I have to cut. And that's a pretty good. The good thing is I've got good visibility with my mirrors to kind of see the pinch point on the cab. I mean, even when I do the pull test, I used to hear like, you know, maybe a click. But it's solid. It's kind of one machine. Here's what I'll say in the first half a mile. It all feels like one unit.
Yeah. That's the feeling I get when I tow, that I wonder is subliminal or not.
The whole rig feels tighter to me.
I agree. I think with this type of connection, you have no looseness. Everything, even though with a regular hitch blade, a regular jaw, the Super Glide, it has about 30 thousandths of an inch of clearance. It's not much, but it does allow for some independent looseness between the trailer and the truck. I mean, we have the tightest latch in the industry. A travel trailer, that's never really an issue, you know, because a ball and a coupler kind of can be fit together with a much tighter connection because you're using gravity to drive them together, and it's a ball and coupler. You don't need as much tolerance as a cylinder. The Super Light, we have everything really tight. There's about 3 thousandths of an inch of clearance. So just that difference makes it to where I feel like it moves down the road like one unit better.
Yeah, the Super Glide was tight. I never felt like it wasn't, but there's just a noticeable difference.
Absolutely.
When you first, make that first pull, like right here coming off of a stop sign, sometimes with the fifth wheel, you feel that tolerance, just that little bump.
Yep.
Like it's there, and with this, it's just one solid connection. Nick, what about safety chains? Do we need safety chains with this hitch?
It's a great question that we get asked all the time. Safety chains this type of product wasn't really available when safety chain laws were initially written, but because we're towing fifth wheel trailers with what's classified as a fifth wheel hitch, there's not a necessity for safety chains.
Okay.
With that being said, there is the ability to add safety chains if somebody wanted to. There's the piece that we're getting ready to put on your coach. You'll see there's attachment points that you could attach safety chains. So if you felt like it was absolutely necessary, then you could, but we stand behind the fact that you don't need safety chains with this type of product. This particular product, you're going to be doing a lot less maintenance. You have a lot less moving parts because instead of having a hitch that's actively sliding around in your bed, the idea is to just move that connection point back in the bed a little bit. So we're getting 7.5 inches of offset with this. And when you compare that offset with some of the other products on the market, 7.5 inches of offset is quite a bit. We're going to do this with one person. Do you want to do it, or do you want me to do it, Cody?
Oh, I'll do it.
Okay.
I'll try anything once.
The Super Glide was hard. I think the biggest problem at this point is going to be that grease mark on the bed of your truck.
In the bed cover.
I don't want you to hit that and wipe out.
I nearly did that earlier.
I'm already done over here. How about you over there, Cody?
It must be nice to be quick.
I will admit, though, this isn't my first rodeo on this particular hitch. If there's a negative of all sliding hitches, it's that there is a looseness in that connection. You have an independent piece that slides back, versus the base of the product, right? So whereas a fixed hitch, you don't have that, and then you have a product like this that offsets the connection point back. It gives you some cab clearance with a small cost of the tow, as far as putting your weight slightly behind the axle.
I can definitely feel it on the takeoff, and when I initially go to apply the brakes is where I really notice it the most. Well, good, we got some train tracks. How bad are these tracks?
I'd probably do them at 20.
No, that was smooth.
Now that we're towing, now that you're using it and you're feeling it, potentially, behind the axle, you're potentially feeling it. There's no doubt, we can have that compromise conversation again. Historically, I always felt the Super Glide is the best compromise.
If my only choice was a manual slider, I wouldn't even look at it.
Yeah.
I would just figure out how to make it work with the fixed pin box or a ball and coupler setup.
I think that what we've seen as a company is we make sliding hitches for short beds and non-sliding hitches for long beds, and that's the way it was 20 years ago. The customer, people that are buying fifth wheels, they recognize that trailers are contoured. They have some corners that are shaved back to help allow for a tighter turn. That tighter turn, when you pair it up with some short bed trucks, it allows for a tighter turn. But when you're talking to actually fit 90-degree turns between the truck and trailer, you really have to make a big difference as far as the amount of distance that everything's going to be set back.
Well, let's take a roundabout and see what happens there. Which way do I need to go?
Go back out this way.
Take another roundabout. That's the fun you have when we test stuff. We'll just drive in circles till we figure out if we like it or not.
Whenever I come to a roundabout, if my kids or if I'm riding with them in the car or driving with them and they're on their phones, I'll come to a roundabout and I'll just keep driving around it until somebody says something to me.
So what's the maximum number of revolutions?
6.
6?
I've gotten 6 in before anybody has said something. That's kind of the running thing that we keep track of.
So when I bought this, I don't remember, Nick, it was at the end of 2021, and I want to say it was somewhere around $2,600, not a cheap hitch.
Okay, well, where'd you buy it at, if you don't mind me asking?
We bought the hitch when we bought our Reflection at Pleasureland RV in Ramsey, Minnesota.
Oh, okay.
Great people to deal with.
Those guys are awesome up there,
yeah,
for sure.
On the sales guys, you get on the sales side especially, you get a really good experience. And then it's been 2 years, I don't remember his name, but the gentleman that pointed me in the direction of this hitch was extremely helpful.
Hitches aren't cheap anyways, but a Super Glide, when you're talking sliding hitches, it's more expensive than some of those manual sliders. Now, we don't dictate the price point to those of the retailers. They can choose their price point as they need, but for the most part, we're a $500 to $700 price difference on something like that.
So we save money, we save weight. We don't have to change out the pin box, which is $1,000, $1,500.
Yep.
It went in 5 minutes, and we took our time, you walking me through everything. So I'm kind of excited to see how this boy goes on and what this thing feels like going down the road.
If you're looking to even save more money and you like that ball and coupler connection, we have our single point hitches that are actually designed to hook to a gooseneck ball. I know that you like that easy in with the mounting posts that we can just pull the hitch out. So we're going to talk about the OEX. I think that's what makes a lot more sense to you. But if you were really worried about the dollars, a single point super light would work too.
I can think of 1,000 ways to save weight if I need to. I can think of ways to save money if I need to. But when you're talking about, these coaches, it's not hard to throw a rock and hit one that's $100,000. And it's not hard to spec a truck that's $100,000.
That's for sure.
To me, the hitch isn't where I cheap out.
We went a shade higher than where your Super Glide was.
Okay.
I always say when we first hook it up, let's err on the side of caution and get a little extra clearance. We'll take a look at everything, and we can always adjust down from there.
Okay. We can either mount it here, or we can spin it and mount it back here.
Correct. But you're running on a short bed.
Okay.
You can change it, you can play with it, because when you run it forward of the kingpin, we're actually going to end up putting the back of this closer to the bedside. So that becomes something we need to watch for and see how everything lines up. So we'll do a test run and test your clearance out here in the parking lot before we go out on the road. What they're doing is they're threading through this plate, and they're basically putting pressure against the pin box. So when we came to market with this, with the Super Light, gosh, 8, 9, 10 years ago, time flies, right? Mm-hmm. I worked in our tech support department, and it was something that I had to familiarize myself with and gain confidence in. I looked at this and I was a little leery because it was so much different than what we're all used to in the industry. I towed a trailer that weighed, more than the capacity of the hitch, maybe a little bit, but I wanted to really try it and test it and see what it was capable of doing. This is an awesome connection. This would work on everyone, unlike the capture plates that are one size for each camper. This is a one size fits all. You just need to add in one extra component if it's a Rotaflex pin box. Our only goal is when we're hooking up is to put the funnel under the ball. Doesn't matter if we come in this way or this way. We can come in at 90 degrees, assuming we have clearances everywhere. Now, and then the better part about it is we lower the jacks or raise the jacks, and it's going to lower the trailer, and you don't get the side load that you're going to get from ramming it into it with a ton of torque from your truck.
That's true. Yeah. You changed my mind on this type of setup altogether. I could see towing with this.
Eyeballing it.
There's just so much more bed space. I mean, I wish I would have measured before we took the Super Glide out just to see, but you can tell by the grease stains, it used to stick out to here and went kind of to the back of that tote with the Super Glide. And I know it's still a short bed. We've still got a hitch back here, and we don't have a ton of room, but there's a lot more room, at least another foot, maybe a foot and a half. Yeah, that OEX that's pretty sweet for a bed saver. The whole rig just drives so much tighter I mean, not that it drove loose before, but there's a very meaningful difference in how tight everything drives with the OEX. It's a pretty sweet hitch.
But you don't like it quite as good as the slider, right? This has been a great week. Mishawaka is a cute little town. They are known for their little city parks. These parks are absolutely beautiful. We haven't had as much time to explore as we would have liked because we've got to hit the road. We got a lot of miles to go. But we do want to thank PullRite for inviting us up to take a sneak peek behind the scenes. It's a product that we already believe in and has kept us safe on the road.
Even though I know about fifth wheel hitches and how they work, I really didn't know what to use for a pickup platform, and the dealer said if you're getting the short bed, get the Super Glide by PullRite, and we've been extremely happy with it ever since.
In fairness, I think that's something that most people don't think about, or a lot of people don't think about. You're thinking about the rig and where you're going to go with it, and you're not thinking about what hitch do I need until maybe last minute, and they're like, you know, you need something to hook this to, right? So if you do need some resources, they have some really good videos on their website. We'll put those links down there for you. I thought they were fantastic. Just real quick, short, what hitch do I need? Demonstrating the different ones. So if you need some resources there, check those out. They did a good job with those. We do appreciate them being so hospitable.
And I really appreciate them letting me play with some new toys while we were here.
That's true. Boys and their toys. I do believe that they are a good family-oriented company, truly. Cody and I have seen some things.
In the workforce, we've seen some flat-out war zones in the office, and anybody can say that we're family-owned and we have a great culture and we believe in America and all of those things. These guys live it. When you meet them, when you talk to them, when you try or use or buy their products, I mean, you see it.
Andrew Pulliam started the company with a travel trailer hitch. Basically, the problem with towing a travel trailer is it creates sway, and he had a really nice solution that resolved that changed the pivot point. So that's what started the PullRite many, many years ago.
And you guys have one over here on this truck, and you described it to me, but it was nothing like what you described, because it actually mounts up over the rear axle to change the weight distribution of a travel trailer and rotates this way with the hitch.
Exactly. It changes the pivot point between the truck and trailer from being way back behind the bumper on a ball to putting it way close to the rear axle. So that effectively eliminates sway from towing. So the difficulty with that product is the modification that was involved. Most people that are towing a big heavy trailer that's best for requires they're a diesel truck. Diesel trucks have much larger exhausts, and that majorly interferes with the exhaust system on newer trucks. Back in the 70s and 80s, that was no big deal, but today it was a problem.
And what time range was that with that bumper pull hitch?
That was in the 70s and into the 80s that those were being manufactured pretty heavily here at PullRite.
And even today, PullRite is individually owned.
Yes, family-owned company, a wonderful family.
Everything's made in America. We got to meet with the president last night, just like me and you, super down-to-earth guy. His fifth wheel sits right over there. I mean, you can tell what's really neat about you guys, and you mentioned it, is that to work at PullRite, being an RVer is almost a prerequisite.
Yeah, absolutely. Most of us do RV from the sales standpoint. All of us own an RV, and we're out in campgrounds many weekends of the year.
Just trying to tear these hitches up.
Well, yeah, towing a fifth wheel is difficult and stressful anyways. You've been doing it. I mean, you're probably good at it now, but when you first started, it's stressful because you got to make the turns and sometimes you're on small little campground roads and stressed out. The last thing that, if we can take one variable away that you don't have to worry about anymore, it makes for something better.
They're passionate about keeping all of their stuff in America from point A to point B. Even the boxes they ship the hitches in are made in America. That's how dedicated they are. And they want to continue to grow and add jobs, which is awesome. And we need more of that in America. So very glad to be associated with these folks.
Absolutely. All right, we've got one more thing to do before we hit the road.
Let's do it. Don't
I gotta
be.
think about this. How
Now
should I start? It's time for me to step away
Is that-
and let the guys,
Was that on? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good. If it's good enough for semi, I know we didn't venture that. I know we didn't do